Okay, here we are in overtime with a staff writer at The Atlantic and author of Summer of Our Discontent, Sir Thomas Chatterton Williams, an author and editor-at-large of County Highway newspaper, Walter Kirn, and she's a podcast host and author of How to Lose Your Mother, Molly Jong-Fast. Okay, here are the questions from the people. This is the people's choice. What does the panel think about China hosting the world's first humanoid robot games? Is this the future of sports? I mean, why would this be interesting to watch? I saw the picture of it. It's a robot. I had this toy when I was a kid. Remember what was it? The Rock Sock'em Robot, something like that. It sucked then. I think it'll suck now, but maybe you have a different take.
Thomas is a sports fan. What do you think, man?
I mean, I don't watch Google Alpha, whatever, play stockfish in chess, and I don't want to watch robots compete in sports. You know, they might even surpass us, but what's interesting is the human fallibility, right, and the quest for excellence.
Really?
Are you a sports fan?
I'm a big sports fan. Yeah.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Like what sports?
Well, I mean, in adulthood, the sport that I love that I can't play myself is tennis. So I'm a Nadal guy, diehard Nadal fan, and it killed me when Djokovic passed him.
Okay. No, I mean, I do like tennis. I don't watch it that much, but no, I mean, I'll watch like the finals of Wimbledon and stuff. No, tennis is awesome.
Sure.
Yeah, well, you know.
Sports.
I don't watch ESPN much because it's like they cover too many sports. I only really watch the big three, you know, baseball, football, basketball, and only the pros.
But who wants to watch robots play? Because when they lose, they aren't sorry.
That's a good point in this incredibly stupid question.
It really was.
Robots, sports.
Well, I said.
Here are things I hate: sports, robots.
Okay, then let's go to a different one. Does Obama calling New York City mayor candidate Zohran Mamdani normalize his socialist politics? Yes, we don't know what Obama said to him, but Obama does this a lot. You know, he kind of like puts his thumb on the scale behind the scenes. Remember he tried to get Ruth Bader Ginsburg to quit. That didn't work that time. I think he kind of like put his thumb on the scale of Hillary getting the nomination in 2016 when Biden thought maybe it was his turn. He's a cagey behind-the-scenes player, and so apparently, I mean, what it looks like to me, reading between the lines, is Obama, a centrist, sees this, you know, to say the least, socialist. I mean, some people would say communist, you know, because he says capitalism is theft. That is kind of what communists say. Says this guy is going to be the face of the Democratic Party, and every Democrat across the country is going to have to get the question, Mamdani did this, Mamdani said this, do you agree? And then what are the Democrats going to do? So is that how you read Obama in New York?
Just a little color on the Mamdani, because I live in New York, where this is all anyone talks about, is he is doing a ton of these meetings with real estate people, with the people who really own the city, the real estate people, and the sort of the New York-y business leaders, and he's talking to people. And he's made some, he says that he's going to keep a lot of people on. And, again, the question with these liberal mayors is, do you have the infrastructure? Because remember, the city is, it's a job that's largely a management job and not an ideological job. So will you have the managers?
He certainly doesn't see it that way.
But will you have the managers to make the city work? And I think that's going to be the question.
What does Mamdani do for a living?
Good question, but not a question that you couldn't ask for a lot of people running for office. I mean,
true.
I mean,
most of them are lawyers, though.
Yeah, he was a city councilman.
Yeah, he's still a city.
He's doing the normal thing that you go to the mayor's position from another position in city government.
Right.
I mean, that's what Cuomo is making a big stink about, the fact that he has a rent-free, not a rent-free, but a rent-controlled apartment.
Yeah.
And
Rent stabilized.
Rent stabilized, which is, I mean, I like Andrew, but what a bullshit issue. I mean, he's going and he's saying, your parents are rich. Okay, who says my parents are going to pay my rent? He's 33 years old. The parents have nothing to do with it. His parent could be Bill Gates.
Well, also Cuomo hasn't lived in New York. He just recently moved back into the city.
Right, but he's a New Yorker. I mean,
he's living in the
Well,
country. I mean,
okay, but he was the governor. They give them a mansion in Albany. I mean, I don't think he's unqualified to run the city of New York. I think he's rather familiar with New York. Andrew Cuomo.
Eric Adams is living in New Jersey.
yeah.
so-
Well, he was living in New
is?
Jersey,
He
but
was,
now
yeah,
he
he never
lives
gave
in
up that
Gracie
apartment.
Mansion.
Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't.
That's weird.
That's another thing.
That's, wow, that's worse than the turkey. Okay. Oh, I read this today. Costco is now stopping selling mifepristone.
Mifepristone.
Thank you. This is the birth control pill?
It's actually an abortion pill.
Abortion pill.
Yeah.
And they said lack of demand. That's why they're not going to sell it anymore. Now, Costco, isn't that where you buy things in bulk? That's the first thing that struck me. It's like, who needs the abortion pill in bulk? How big of a hoe do you have to be to buy your abortion pills at Costco?
I'm making the sad feminist face. But okay, so two things about mifepristone.
Yes.
It is also used for a bunch of other things that aren't necessarily abortions. I could go into it, but it's too gross.
Right.
But there's lots of uterine things that involve mifepristone, and it's a two-drug series. The other thing is, like with birth control, a lot of birth control pills, a lot of these things were covered by insurance and aren't anymore, or are being phased out under the new sort of, because they seem woke. The thing I would say about birth control is there are a lot of people who are on birth control and they're not on it for birth control. They're on it to, all sorts of really, to control their symptoms of other stuff, right, of hormones. And so I do think that these drugs are, they're about mifepristone, but they're also about larger issues. People use them for other stuff.
Just don't take it in the bathroom at Costco. Really, I would want a little more.
That was terrible.
I would want a little more privacy if I was buying an abortion drug than in the line at Costco. I'm sorry.
All right. Let me broaden this out a little bit. Were you surprised that the abortion issue, which many of us thought was going to be the one that put the Democrats over the top, was not the issue that they thought it was going to be? Neither was democracy, by the way.
Yes, that turned out to be
Those were two issues that they were counting on people to care about more than they did. What do you make of that?
I mean, I think there was a larger problem, which was a structural problem, which is the mainstream media in 2016 was much bigger than it was in 2024. It was so much smaller, and they had so much trouble breaking through about anything. I mean, Joe Rogan, if you go on Joe Rogan, I think it's like, it's like 60, 70, 80 million people saw Trump on Joe Rogan, right? But if you give an interview to the Washington Post, it's not the same level of, breaking through.
Well, then maybe Kamala should have went on Joe Rogan.
She absolutely
or this show.
should have. Yeah,
I mean,
this
is my point.
And I think the point that Democrats should go everywhere is 100% right. You cannot, there is no world in which an elected can win if they don't go on Joe Rogan and the Milk Boys and you and everything else.
If you're afraid of the people who voted for you, you're just a fraidy cat.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, you just can't win.
It's just ridiculous.
And if you don't go everywhere, then you're not anywhere, and that's it.
That's right.
They made it a state issue. It's no longer a federal issue.
Right, but people live in states.
Well, they do, but they can fight it state by state, and that's the way they're doing it. I mean, that was the sea change in our politics when Trump and the Supreme Court brought abortion off the national stage and onto.
Well, I'm pregnant. I've got 9 months to get the legislator to change the law. I mean, that's not how people think. Recent surveys found that 79% of Gen Z say they have dating app burnout, and 1 in 6 American women are celibate by choice. What's to blame for this depressing trend? I don't think it's a depressing trend that they're getting rid of their dating apps. I think that's a fantastic trend. Not that it affects me either way, but I mean, no, it doesn't. But I mean, I think anytime you get people off screens, it's good.
That's a healthy trend.
Yeah.
People should be meeting in person. This is a terrible movement our society has made towards everything being virtual, and also the way that people are able, like the top achievers on those apps are able to kill. And so, people are unable to deal with the complexity of human relations now, because if you're on the apps and everybody's on the apps, as soon as there's a little bit of friction, you just say, I can't deal with this, I'm just swiping again, and you get another, you just keep replacing the initial stage of a relationship and you never grow.
Yeah, it's better just to meet people in bars when you're both really drunk.
When you're both really drunk.
Yeah, I think that's better.
But
and then spend life together.
It actually is.
I got an ad on my phone just today for an AI girlfriend. I mean, at least they were using dating apps to find real human beings. Now there are people, and I've seen stories about it in just the last few weeks, who are getting virtual girlfriends through AI.
But why did they ask you? What did you previously like? It's a reasonable question.
It's like Amazon book recommendations. They know what you want before you know.
But I would say the kids should take a hint from the summit there in Alaska, if I could wrap up the show in one neat bow tonight. But like Putin and Trump, they did decide that we need to look each other in the eye. Because, it just is different. And it actually is the same with any kind of relationship. You just cannot get a feel for a human being over the phone. First of all, you don't smell their pheromones, right? That's literally a part of it. You don't see facial expressions. All of this is stuff, even if it's not conscious, that you're taking into account when you meet somebody. And so, kids, take a from Vladimir Putin. All right. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate it.